There is an old Scottish saying, Mony a Mickle makes a muckle, by which we mean that lots of little things can add up to make a big lot of something. That is to say, that not everything has to be done at once, but instead can be carried out in small steps. Ensuring that goods can be delivered and that people can move easily across the Scottish Highlands and Islands is just one such step which we know will lead to happier local communities. In an ever-shrinking world, we are becoming aware of just how crucial it has become to nurture sustainable relationships and interconnectivity between neighbouring areas of the Highlands and Islands. Like all nations, we want to strive to create a strong sense of community, of belonging, a feeling that everyone matters and that we all have the same right to experience the very best of what Scotland has to offer. Transport is not just the movement of people from A to B, it's the movement of ideas, emotions, beliefs, and the cultivation of new and meaningful connections. It's the combination of so many seemingly smaller things to create something truly meaningful. Yet therein lies the challenge. Scotland is a unique nation, which is perhaps best exemplified within its Highlands and Islands. Within this area, it often feels as though there is a dichotomy of sorts between small rural communities and modern urban environments. To travel around the Highlands and Islands is to dip in and out of these two very different, unique worlds. In an effort to build connection between these two polar opposite planes, the Highlands and Islands Transport Partnership, or Hitrans, seeks to implement the use of multiple transport methods to allow people within Scotland to fully access all that the Highlands and Islands have to offer.
I'm Ronald Robertson. I'm Partnership Director and Chief Officer of Hitrans. So I've been with Hitrans now for nearly 20 years in various roles. And since 2012, I've been Chief Officer, Partnership Director of Hitrans. There's not really any downside of travel in the Highlands and Islands. It's always pretty. The week before last, I was pleased and privileged to go to Orkney for a series of meetings. We took the slow route. It wasn't a plane. We travelled up by the ferry from John O'Groats Ingles Bay and came back through Stromness. I must say, for me, I've got a real affinity with the islands, whichever island group that may be, and I always enjoy going to an island.
My name is Jane Golding and I work as Projects and Policy Officer at Hitrans. Hitrans is the Highlands and Islands Transport Partnership. We're one of 7 regional transport partnerships set up across Scotland to improve transport services and infrastructure across the area. Our area spans 5 local authority areas: Highland, Moray, Orkney, the Western Isles and parts of Argyll Bute.
Our area covers about 40% of Scotland's land mass. Less than 10% of its population, so that perhaps starts to point to what the challenge might look like. The area is actually larger than Belgium. It's almost as big as the Netherlands. What that means is 38,500 square kilometres. Netherlands 41,500 square kilometres. We have a population of 500,000. The Netherlands has a population of 17 million. So it sort of says that there is going to be a bit of a challenge getting around that sort of area.
We cover almost 50% of Scotland's landmass, but with only 10% of its population. So this results in lots of communities dispersed out, relying on good transport network for connectivity.
I think the scale of the area is a real challenge. I think the way services are provided can sometimes be a challenge as well. So if services, as I've mentioned, are being managed from outside of your region, you may sometimes have a bit of a frustration that the decisions aren't necessarily informed from lived experience. And I think that can be a a frustration. So we are making the case for greater subsidiarity, better local governance within the way that some of these services are delivered. We are trying to give voice to the needs of the Highlands and Islands, and the way we're doing that is by having a regional transport strategy that sets out what the collective view is from our stakeholders across the Highlands and Islands. We have got that regional transport strategy. We have said what we believe should be the priorities for this region, but actually that isn't the end of the process, because we can have a regional transport strategy that nobody will listen to. So we have to actively promote and make the case for the types of interventions that are needed for our area. We're doing that through our involvement with the Scottish Government at the development of the National Transport Strategy, which I have been quite closely involved with. We are heavily involved in the development of the Strategic Transport Projects Review, which will set the direction of how Transport Scotland and the Scottish Government spend their budget on transport, and primarily looking at the services that they control. We provide stakeholder engagement facilities across a range of modes, which helps try and capture the views at a much more local level. So it's not just about thinking, because we could very easily sit in Inverness and claim to recreate much of the what frustrates people in North Ronaldsay and get pneumonia about the way that services are delivered for them. Exactly, we can be remote too. So we do try and reach out to that. The other thing that we're trying to do is we deliver projects, so we try and either provide specialist help for our partner councils in areas like active travel or innovative transport, and often that will see us delivering projects as well. So we're not just about being policy and trying to influence and lobby. That can't be our role. We actually have to, as an organisation, be trying to make a difference, whether that's introducing public e-bike docking, or on a more macro level, doing things like delivering the UK's largest mobility as a service platform.
These projects have enabled us to trial services such as electric buses in rural areas, e-bike hire, e-cargo bikes, mobility as a service, and later this year we'll be launching a trial of an autonomous bus in Inverness as well. So the projects are really important and also give an opportunity to work with partners from across Europe who share some of the same challenges as ourselves here in Scotland, so we can work together to develop solutions to these transport challenges.
We are looking to develop tools that better plan the delivery and management of these services as well. So we took part, as an example, in the Scottish Government's CivTech Challenge process last year. What we're looking to do is basically map and develop a dashboard of how movement is happening in the Highlands and Islands, so that we can better understand what trips people are currently making, but indeed what trips people would like to make as well.
Improving sustainable transport is a key aim of Hitrans. We want to ensure people have transport solutions that meet their travel needs, but also encourage the uptake of sustainable travel for moving around the area. A lot of our projects look at active travel, electric vehicles and supporting the charge point infrastructure, and travelling more by public transport rather than private car. So our recent launch of the Mobility as a Service application is probably a really good example of that, because that's now going to provide people across the area with an easy-to-use app for locating, booking and paying for multimodal transport all in one package. So the aim being to try and promote people to use more public transport and show them where it's available across their area.
There's all sorts of ways I think technology can change the way we do things in individual modes of transport. So, ferries might have lots of smart technology. Because transport and connectivity is so important for the Highlands and Islands, it is going to be more important what technology can do in our region than elsewhere.
But the financial sustainability of traditional transport services is based on critical mass of demand, which is lacking in most rural and remote areas. So services therefore aren't always viable due to low population numbers.
We mustn't stop having real services in the Highlands and Islands. It's interesting, the aviation one's an interesting one, because we seem to be moving quickly towards low carbon aviation being very possible and very workable for aircraft that don't carry too many people. So do we then find that we actually are a positive byproduct of that as we have a much more connected Highlands and Islands, including the ability to fly frequently to the nation's central belt for that access to some of the key influencers and decision makers. The Highlands and Islands already does a lot for Scotland's sustainability. I think culturally really get the need that we need to, preserve our communities. Increased desire and demand for travelling to or staying within the UK and Scotland is a positive thing. We need to ensure that behaviours are right. We need to ensure that facilities are in place for people if they want to motorhome, caravan, cycle or walk.
Travelling within an area as vast as the Scottish Highlands and Islands is integral to fully appreciating the country of Scotland as a whole, as well as the many enriching experiences it has to offer. Within the Scottish Highlands and Islands, you can find 8 counties, each distinctive and imbued with history, culture, people and scenery. The contrast between the larger towns and cities and the remote smaller villages offers the best of 2 very different worlds, making it so important that each can be made accessible to all. Rising to the challenge of facilitating sustainable transport will allow for a more connected Scotland, and not only in a practical sense of making journeys from one place to another. It also means that by creating the means necessary to allow people within Scotland to travel more easily, we are facilitating the chance for people to see new sights, meet new people, and find new things to love about the Highlands and Islands. Ultimately, this is about more than travel. This is about our ability to find new ways of creating deeper bonds between ourselves and the very special country we share. By working together to inspire these changes, we are taking those necessary little steps which will help to deliver better outcomes for all. It's just like we said, Mony a Mickle, Max a Muckle.